What's going on, guys? So in this video we're going to be adding this effect you can see on the screen right now, where we're going to be adding some camera shakes, explosions, and we've got a nice little rocket projectile that'll spawn. There's some particles and things like that. So let's just get straight to it. So the first thing we're going to add is we're going to add the camera shake, right? So what we need to do is, if you're following along you'll already have this, but if not, just make sure that on your character, or whatever you want to, add this effect to, make sure you have the scroll to behavior. So we're just going to head over behaviors, and as you can see we've got this right here, so just add a behavior, scroll to. So once you've done that, we can head over to your event sheet, and let's add a new function, and we'll call this camera shake. And then all we have to do for this effect is we just add an action, search your character, and then all you have to do is just search shake, set the magnitude to something a little higher, maybe like 40. And it's as simple as that for actually, shaking the camera. So the reason why we add the function as well is so then once you've got everything set up, you can just tie these into each other. So let's say you have a damage function where where you take off your health and your health bar, things like that. You can then just call this function on top of that inside of that function. And then another quick thing you can add on top of this, unless you've already added this to your damage function, is another thing that's nice to add is you could add, if you go over to behaviors again, and as you can see here we've already got a flash. If you've not got this, just add a flash, and then just the same way you did before is you can just search character and just add flash. You can tweak this how you'd like, but I'll just keep it default for now. And so now when you call this function, the screen will shake and your character will flash, just to show that it's taken some damage. This one probably would be better to add to a damage function. So just to show you, so we have our damage function here from the platformer series, and all you'd have to do is, so you just click function, and then now you just also add the camera shake. Alright guys, let's just quickly test this. So if we head over, we'll jump on these spikes, and as you can see, when we now take damage, the camera shakes and the character flashes. Alright, great, so let's go and create the rocket effect that you saw in the preview. So what we'll do is, for this you just need to insert a couple of objects, so we're going to add a sprite. And then this one here, so for now let's create a rocket first, so we can just, if you've got a rocket idea or, use whatever you'd like, but for this I'm just gonna draw something like this real quick. This will do. And we'll give it a little face like in Mario, little angry eyes. Like this. And that'll do. Rename this to whatever you'd like, I just called it Rocket Bullet. And then what we want to do is, so go to behaviors, and just add the bullet behavior. On top of this I'm going to speed it up a little, so we'll make this like 600. I'm going to flip this one here like this, just so this will also make it spawn the other direction later. And now let's add the actual spawner for this, so once again we'll add a sprite. For now I'm just going to fill this in with any colour. Scale it down, like this. And we'll just call this rocket spawner. Double click this, and we're just going to go in here, and you select this bit here, and we're going to add a new image point. So all this is going to do is, if we then use the left key, and we can just drag this point out, this is just going to make it so that when we spawn the rockets, it will spawn from here instead of like in the center of the thing, just so it looks a bit nicer. Great, so head back to your event sheet, and now let's get this working. So for the sake of this example, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to use a simple every X seconds, right? So click system, and then we'll say for now let's just say every 2 seconds. And then what we're going to do here is, so every 2 seconds we're going to fire the rocket, right? So every 2 seconds, we'll search spawner, we'll search rocket spawner, and we'll spawn another object. And then we'll search the rocket bullet here. One thing to keep in mind is just make sure that you also spawn this on the right layer. So we have a main layer which we put everything on here. And then now this is where we search image point 1, which is what we just added a second ago. Next, let's add the actual collisions for the rocket. So what we'll do is we'll add an event, and we'll just search rocket bullet on collision with another object. Search your character or player, whatever you've called it. So when this collides with the character, we then want to destroy it, and we want to trigger the damage function. So first of all, we'll call damage, or you could also just directly, call these events here if you'd like, if that's easier. And then what we also want to do is, so we want to also destroy the rocket. But before this, we also want to, so let's go back into our layout, and let's add a couple of particle effects as well real quick. So just insert a new object, search particles, and then here, so let's just add we'll add a yellow and a red particle. So for this one, we can just do something like this, draw a little circle. And then to set the spray cone, we're going to set this to, so just set this to 360, so it can just spawn anywhere. We'll set the rate to 10. And as you can see, it's already going like that. We want to make sure it's one shot. We'll set the grow rate to 50, 50, 50. Speed random, we can set that to 52. Size randomizer 100. This is completely up to you, you know, mess around this. It's, you know, you can get some cool effects in here. Let's just preview this. So I'm fine with that for now. And then we'll just call this as well. So we'll call this Rocket Particle 1. Once you've done that, you can also very easily just right click, clone object. We can paste this out. And then you can just delete this and then just fill it with a different color. This is a cool way to just get some nice dynamic particles where you can spawn a couple of particles together, and then what you can do is you can just change the speed. So let's say you half this to 100, and then you could also change the size a little bit more as well. So, you know, you could also maybe just set this to 70 or something, and then if you drag these on top of each other and you click preview, you can get an idea of what, you know, what it might look like. Great, so once you've created your particles, we can now just add them to this action here. So what you'll do is just search rocket bullet, or whatever you've called it, and we'll just say spawn another object again. And then we're just going to search rocket particles 2 on the main layer. Image point can be the same. We can Control C and Control V this to duplicate it. And then we can just search the first particle. Drag destroy below this just to make sure that it destroys it after it's spawned the particles. And that should be it, guys. So let's just quickly playtest this. Preview the layout. And great, so now the rocket spawns, it fires, and when it hits the player, we now get a nice animation, we get the flash, we get the camera shake, and we've got some particles just for visual, you know. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.